What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Life After Lockup Season 5, Episode 46, Love Bombs. Let's get into Justine and Michael. Justine and Michael are working my damn nerves. Justine more so than Michael. So Michael has been out of prison now for 18 months. They're having a conversation at their house about Justine not trusting Michael to take care of her boys if anything should happen to her. Justine is pregnant, and her pregnancy is extremely high risk. It is so high risk that her doctors had told her that she needs to get her affairs in order. She needs to have a will. She needs to have a living will because she could go at any minute. So I understand that there's a plethora of reasons of how a pregnancy could be high risk. I just don't know, or I don't remember specifically why Justine's pregnant is high risk. So they're having a conversation about who's going to take care of her boys if anything should happen to her. Michael is still extremely pissed off that Justine does not trust him enough to watch over her boys if she was no longer in the picture. Justine wants her oldest daughter to do that. We saw them go to the attorney when Mike first found out that Justine wanted her daughter to be in charge of the boys. He was upset about that. He's still upset about that. So he's like, we worked really hard to bring our blended family together, and now you're trying to unblend it. I see these boys as my own. I take care of them as my own. I love them as my own. I don't understand why I cannot be their legal guardian if anything should happen to you. Justine's reasoning is that because one of her children is on the spectrum of autism, she doesn't think that Michael is capable of taking care of him. She thinks that Michael, his temper is too short. He's too much of a hothead. His patience is low, so he wouldn't be the best guardian for her special needs son. Mike feels like he can take care of it. Because I'm pretty sure he deals with, his stepson every day. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't know if he can or if he can't. But Justine doesn't think that he can. She wants her oldest daughter to do it. Her oldest daughter is currently in college, doing her own thing, living her own life. Obviously, she will always be there for her brothers. If anything should happen, she will always be there for her brothers. But I don't know if it's in the best interest of her daughter, for Justine to choose her as the one to take care of her two sons. It's Justine probably thinks it's best for her son. I don't know if she's thinking if it's best for her daughter. Her daughter's her child as well. Is it best for her daughter to give her this much responsibility when she herself is young, starting off on her own life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So my question to Justine is, Justine, why would you want to marry a man who you feel like would not be a good father figure or a good parent or a good guardian for your children if anything should happen to you? Because anything can happen to you at any time. Besides being high risk, life is a risk in itself every single day. You can die in a car accident, something could happen to you in another way. Why would you marry a man if you felt like if anything should happen to me, I do not want this man to be raising my children? Like, why? I don't understand that at all. Is it because you're just not thinking? I don't understand. This man was so important to you that you wanted to marry him, you wanted to have more children with him, but all of a sudden he's not good enough to take care of your sons. Okay. So Mike's mother's house burnt down in Rhode Island. And this is the second house fire that we're seeing on Life After Lockup. So the mother's house burnt down in Rhode Island, and she's going to be coming to live with them in Nevada. I don't know if it's temporary until she gets her own house again, her own housing, or if this is going to be permanent. I have no idea. So the mother is going to be taking 2 trains and a bus from Rhode Island to Nevada. And I'm not understanding why they could not get her a plane ticket. Why are you putting your mom on a damn train, 2 trains and a bus, where it's going to take her 7 days and 7 nights to get to Nevada? I don't get it. I thought that was just really uncalled for. So the mother-in-law does not know that Justine is pregnant. They did not want to tell anybody outside of their children that they were expecting another child together because they know it's a bad idea. They didn't want to hear people talk logically to them how this is probably not a good idea. Why would you want to get pregnant again so soon? You had issues with the first pregnancy. Now you got pregnant right away again. You're putting your life at risk. You have kids to look after. They don't want to hear any of that because Mike and Justine live in their own world. They're always in their own little bubble, and they don't care what anybody else has to say about anything. So the mother-in-law has no idea that Justine is pregnant. So as she's on her way to their house, Justine is talking to her kids, all the kids, and she's telling the kids that she's going to be hiding when her mother-in-law arrives. All the kids are looking at her like, what the hell is your problem? Like, why can't you grow the F up? I swear to God, the kids looked at her crazy. Mike's oldest daughter tells Justine, why don't you just face the damn music and, just let her know that you're pregnant? Like, I don't understand why you had to keep it a secret to begin with, because the oldest daughter doesn't like keeping information from her grandmother. And even if they didn't outright lie to their grandmother, they kept this information from the grandmother. And her oldest daughter felt some kind of way about that because there's no secrets between her and her grandmother. She's close to her grandmother. So nobody understands why this grown woman who's almost 40 years old, who's had 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many kids she's had, why do you feel the need to hide your pregnancy like you're 16 years old? You pay your own bills, you take care of your own brood of children, you make your own decisions. You left wherever you were living to come all the way to Nevada. Didn't give a damn about what nobody had to say about that. Didn't give a damn that Mike was going to be away from his two little kids, his two youngest children. Y'all are making y'all's own decisions, taking care of y'all's own business. But all of a sudden, you turn into a scared 16-year-old when it comes to letting your mom and your mother-in-law know that you're having a baby. Her mom might know because that's her mom, but all of a sudden she's scared to let her mother-in-law know that she's pregnant again with Mike's child. I like that. Makes no sense to me. So it's the day of the mom's arrival. Like I said, Justine told her kids that she was going to hide, told the kids that she was going to hide. And when the mother shows up, Justine is in the backyard, y'all. She's literally hiding in the backyard, and she has a blanket over her belly. So Mike takes his mother to the backyard, and they have little Manhattan with them. And the mother is holding Manhattan, playing with the baby. Justine is sitting on the bench or whatever, and she has a blanket over her belly. And then Mike directs his mom's attention to Justine. Justine stands up, takes off the blanket, and her belly is in full display. Her bare belly is in full display. And when the mom saw her, the mom was like, she was shocked and surprised. And that's where the episode ended. It's just stupid to me. I don't know if they're doing this for content for the show. And if it wasn't for the show, she wouldn't be doing these silly things. But whatever she's doing, and for whatever reason that she's doing it, it's making her look extremely silly. You're a grown woman. You got all these damn kids. You're fertile myrtle. Everybody knows that your husband looks at you and you're pregnant. Like, why do you feel the need to hide it? You want to have kids? Have kids. You want to have 20 children? Have 20 children. What is the mother-in-law going to do about it? Are you afraid that you're going to have to take 20 paternity tests? Who cares what the mother-in-law thinks? This is your life. The mother-in-law was all the way in Rhode Island. She wasn't taking care of these kids. She wasn't sending you money for these kids. Why are you so scared to tell your mother-in-law that you're having a baby? And now, unfortunately, we have to suffer through this stupid plot line. Moving on to Kimberly and Joey. So Kimberly and Joey go to see an attorney. They talk about the house because Kimberly and Joey want to buy a house. Kimberly is still legally married to her ex-husband, but they are legally separated. They have filed for separation, legal separation, about a year ago. And so I'm assuming that should protect her when it comes to her purchasing this home with Joey because they're legally separated. But the attorney tells us, because they're so worried about, does her estranged husband, not her ex, because they're not divorced yet, she hasn't even filed for divorce. Does her estranged husband, could there be any way for him to get a hold of this house or to claim half ownership of this house that they tend to buy? And the attorney tells us, and I hope she told Kimberly, but the attorney tells us that what Kimberly should do is to get a divorce first, cut complete ties with that man, and then buy her house. It's just too messy to try to buy a home while you're still legally married, but you're separated and you're not married. It's just all too messy. But then again, Kimberly, that's how she lives her life. Her life is one big stinking mess. Okay? Because then they talk about her son. So her oldest son This is the one that she and Joey did a DNA test on. I don't know if the results came in, but she hasn't opened them, or she hasn't told Joey the results, or if they haven't come in at all. Who the hell knows? Because Kimberly is very sneaky. So they took a DNA test to find out if her oldest son is Joey's kid. Now, what happened was when Kimberly was seeing her ex husband before they got married, they were in a relationship. She cheated on her ex husband with Joey because I think the ex husband, not the ex husband, the estranged husband, cheated on her. So I guess to get back at him or to feel better, I don't know what. She goes off and she sees Joey. She has an affair with Joey. Between between all of this, she ends up getting pregnant. And I guess she never really knew who she got pregnant by. She told her ex-husband that she was pregnant. She said that in the beginning, not her ex, her estranged. She said in the beginning her estranged husband had doubts if the baby was his while she was pregnant, but eventually he married her anyway. So that's how that first son came about. Don't know if the child is Joey's or not. We're still waiting for the results. We find out during this meeting with the attorney that Kimberly is receiving $2,500 a month in child support. And then at that moment, everything kind of came together on why she's dragging her feet with the divorce, why she's dragging her feet with the DNA, because that should have been done years ago. Okay, she's the one. If nobody else knows, Kimberly knows what she's been doing. Kimberly knows who she's been with. And if you feel like you were with Joey at around the same time that you were with your estranged husband, you know that there was a possibility either one of these men could have been the father of your kid. And you should have found that out a long time ago. Okay. So she's getting $2,500 a month in child support. And the attorney tells her if it comes out that this child is not your estranged husband's child, you could potentially owe all that money back. And Kimberly says it's roughly like $20,000 he's paid her already in child support. And Joey, with his non employed self, talking about, oh, we'll pay it back. If we have to pay it back, then we'll pay it back at $10 a month. Kimberly's whole entire life is a hot mess, and she just keeps adding more mess on top of it. It's like, girl, can we get the divorce? No, can we get the DNA test first? Then can we get the divorce? Then can we worry about the house? Instead of like, putting everything together in this messy soup, jumbling everything all together. You don't know if you're coming or going. Why can't we do things step by step, one by one? But we know why now, because she wants to hang on to this $2,500 a month. The child support will probably go down significantly if it comes out that this child is not his, which it might be his. I mean, who knows? It might be his. I don't see a strong resemblance between her oldest son and Joey, but who the hell knows? I don't know. But I'm like, can we get these results like yesterday? Because this is really dragging. Let's move on to Rob and Tenny. So Rob has been out 6 weeks. And when their segment starts, we're at the tail end of their argument about Tenny spending money and her needing to get a job. And then she throws it in his face that she wants him to get the tattoo of his ex girlfriend or his ex wife covered up. Tenny does admit that she was being really petty when she threw that out there, how she wanted him to cover up the tattoo. And she ends up apologizing to him for bringing that up because he had already told her he was going to get it covered up. So, like, why are we talking about it? So then Rob goes to shoot hoops with his father, his little father. And his dad was a felon too. His dad was charged with murder, but I think he was acquitted of that. His dad spent time in prison. And then Rob tells us how his dad has been a really great role model for him. How, when, and where. I didn't understand that. I know he's a great dad and you love your dad and we all make mistakes, but your dad going to prison and all of it, like, and not being there for you. Because he talked about how sometimes his dad was there for him, sometimes his dad wasn't. I didn't understand, but it's a beautiful thing. So then Tanny gets a job. We find out that she got a job and she's going to be working as a paralegal. So Tanny and Rob decide to celebrate this good news. They go out to a restaurant, they're having dinner, and Rob brings up, let's have a baby. I feel like this let's have a baby conversation comes up a lot with these couples because there's nothing else going on with them. There's like no content. There's nothing happening with them. And so they're constantly bringing up, let's have a baby, let's have a baby. I don't know if they're really serious about it or what, but it really kind of comes off as, let's just talk about having a baby because we got nothing else to talk about. So he talks about how he doesn't want us to, he wants to stop using condoms. He wants to get her pregnant because she got this new job. And I'm like, okay, so you got a new job. And so then in 9 months, you're going to be asking for maternity leave and be gone for like, I don't know, 6 weeks to 3 months, 6 to 12 weeks. I mean, that's not very responsible. Tenny talks about how she's not ready to have another baby because she's worried about the fact that maybe Rob might leave. And now she's going to be a single mom to 3 kids because the first baby daddy died, the second baby daddy is MIA. And so, her track record is not that great in keeping, baby daddies around. So she's worried about, possibly being a single mom again. And Rob tries to convince her, but I'm different. Don't compare me to them. I'm always going to be there for you. And then Tenny, she's beginning to kind of give in a little bit. And she's like, yeah, I can see us having a baby. The baby can either have your skin tone or my skin tone. What you mean your skin tone or his skin tone? Y'all are exactly the same color. And so Rob has never experienced a newborn. And that's why he really wants to have a baby. He's never experienced, raising a newborn. He wants to have a little girl. I guess he has all boys. And Tenny says that her biological clock is ticking and that because Rob is such a good guy and gives her whatever she wants, what's wrong with giving him what he wants? But is that really what you want? I'm glad they're having a conversation about it. And I'm glad that they decided to be on the same page because it seems like they've both decided that they're going to go through with having this child together, which I think is a horrible idea. Um, that's great that they're talking about it. They're having a conversation. That's great. But at least between the two of them, one of them would have the sense that God gave them and say, no, I don't think it's a good time right now to have a child. There's more to life than having babies. Okay. And I'm speaking as a mother of two. There's more to life than having children. She has children. He has children. Why can't that be enough? What does this need to combine y'all's DNA, to do this Michael and Justine thing where you have to combine y'all's DNA to create a whole nother life? Y'all have kids. Okay, y'all have kids. And the fathers keep talking about, oh, I see your kids as my own. And the mothers are like, oh, I'm willing to adopt your children and make them my own. Okay, then why isn't that enough? I don't understand. Why isn't that enough? Why don't you want to travel? Why don't you want to start a business? Why don't you want to do other things in life than just procreate for the sake of procreating? Moving on to Bianca and Daniel. Daniel has been out 1 month. He gets a job with a moving company, so good, he's working. Bianca's on the phone with her friend, and she's yapping and complaining about Daniel. Whenever she talks to anybody about Daniel, she's complaining about him. So she tells her best friend that she thinks Daniel is taking advantage of her, that he gave her all these false promises, that he even told her he regretted proposing to her, that she feels like he's using her as his sugar mama because, she's got this huge settlement. But you're the one that told him about the settlement. You're the one that blabbed to him while he was in prison that you have this huge settlement. Um, she claimed she was complaining about, not to the friend, but to the cousin, complaining about their sex life, constantly complaining about Daniel, but she's still with them. So while she's yapping on the phone with her friend, Daniel is blowing her phone up because he needs a ride from work, but she's not answering. So he has to Uber it home. When he gets home, he tells her, look, I had to spend $30 on a damn Uber. And to her, it's like, okay, fine. That's great because I'm tired of driving you around. Daniel cannot drive because he's not allowed to have a driver's license. It's part of his probation that he cannot get a driver's license right away. So he's dependent on her for transportation. And she says that she's over it. She's done driving. He's only been out 30 days. Like, where are you taking him? And he just got a job. So where have you been taking him if it's not for his PO appointments? Where are you taking him that you're so exhausted now? You, who doesn't have a job, who doesn't do anything, why are you so exhausted with driving him around? Where have you been driving him to? So she don't care about spending money on Ubers. In fact, she's so careless with her money. She tells him that she bought a $130, basically like a $130 toy. And so he was like, that's insane, Bianca, that you're spending that much money on one single item. And Bianca's like, it's my money. I can do whatever I want. Okay, but your money's not going to last forever. I don't care how much her settlement is. One thing that I feel like is for sure, it's not enough for her to live on for the rest of her life. She's only in her 20s. I don't think this settlement is going to carry her all the way into her 80s and 90s. So, her spending money like this, $130 on a toy, letting him or basically forcing him to take Ubers everywhere he needs to go. Um, the fact that she paid for this apartment 4 months in advance, all these things that she's doing, she's going to run through that money pretty quickly. So I don't think her settlement was like millions and millions and millions of dollars. So it seems like she is being very careless about it. And he's really concerned. She doesn't care. She's not concerned. But he is really concerned. And I don't understand like why she doesn't want, because she talks about how she's so bored. She's not making any friends. She's begging her friend to come visit her in Arizona. Well, why don't you get a job? You can never have enough money. Why don't you get a job? I don't get it. Zariah and Troy. Troy has been out for 1 month. They go to a dispensary. This is the first time that Troy has been in a dispensary, and he was like a kid in a candy store. He was so excited. So they go to the park to smoke their product, and Zariah begins to thank Troy for adopting her son. And I was confused because when did he formally adopt her son? Is she talking about a formal adoption or him just taking on the role as a father figure? Because, like, he signed papers, adoption papers that were filed with the court. Like, I didn't understand that. So she thanks Troy for adopting her son, and then they start talking about them having kids. And she tells him, does he think about them possibly having their own children? And Troy is like, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that. I just came out of prison. I'm trying to get my life together, etc. And she tells Troy that she is 32 years old and she can't wait that much longer. And she tells us that she quit taking birth control because it was messing up her skin. So she quit taking birth control. But she has not told Troy that. That's just dumb as hell. That is just dumb as hell that you do not tell your husband that you quit taking your birth control. I'm assuming he thinks that she's still taking it. That is just dumb as hell to me. And now she's hearing him say that he's not ready to have a child. That's just dumb as hell. I can say a whole lot more, but y'all ain't ready. So, I don't understand also how they can be talking about how she can be talking about wanting to have more children with Troy when she can't afford to keep her nonprofit going. Her nonprofit, she was talking about, facing possible eviction. Troy was getting ready to go back into the streets to make money to save the nonprofit. So I'm very confused how you were so destitute that you could not keep you were worried about your nonprofit not being able to continue, but now you're talking about having a baby and y'all are taking trips to the dispensary. Like, what's really going on here? Later on, we see Troy and Zariah. They're home with her son, and Troy's about to take the son to the science museum. And Zariah tells us that, Troy is such a good dad to her son, and that the son sees Troy as his father, and that, Troy teaches him how to take care of himself. I guess the kind of things that a woman wouldn't know to tell a boy because she's not a man. And also that Troy has put her son on a very strict diet. Okay. Has put us on a very strict diet and basically, trying to paint him as being father of the year. Now, before they leave for the museum, he gets a call from his mother, and his mother's like, I got some really bad news that I got to tell you. And then all of a sudden, their segment ends. Rock and Britney. Brittany stopped the wedding because they're about to get married out there on the golf course. She was in her I thought Brittany looked really, really pretty. I thought the dress was really nice. Everything about Brittany to me I thought was on point. K-Rock looked really handsome. So they're about to get married. They're standing right in front of the officiant, about to exchange their vows. And Brittany's like, stop the press. I got something to tell you. So then she tells K-Rock that she talked to her probation officer, and the probation officer said, y'all getting married could actually work against you because the state of Texas might see this this is y'all committing fraud or faking a marriage just to get to Texas to be able to live together. So it might actually work against you. So then she starts telling K-Rock, I'm having second thoughts about this. And plus, this is not the wedding of my dreams. I wanted to have my family here, etc., etc. K-Rock is upset because K-Rock is like, why didn't you tell me this way before we planned a damn wedding? You could have told me this a long time ago. So he's like, well, if that's the case, then I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to go to, because K-Rock wants to start making money. They're living with their friend Coffee in this very cramped up, tiny little apartment. And K-Rock is ready for them to get the ball rolling. He wants to start making money, taking care of his girl, etc. So he's like, okay, you know what? If we can't get married right now, you want to get married later, that's cool, but I'm going to Texas. And they're back at the apartment with Coffee, and he's packing up. And Brittany's like, you ain't going nowhere. You are not going to Texas. You are going to stay right here and wait until I hear from our parole officer on whether or not we're going to be able to move to Texas together. Because if we're going to Texas, we're going to Texas together. And so K-Rock was like, no, I'm leaving. I'm packing up. I'm leaving. She stops him from packing up. They go outside to talk about it, I guess. And she finally convinces them just to give it a week. Give it a week to see if my probation officer is going to get me or is going to allow me or let me know that Texas will allow us to move there and live together. So that's where that ends. And that's my review, y'all. These people are a hot mess. Except for maybe K-Rock and Britney. These people are a hot mess. It's just too much. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.